o'clock in the morning.
I've perfected my AC bracket. It's alive!
Okay, we're going back to bed.
Alright, welcome back to Ugly Truck. Today we are going to go over everything that we've learned about air conditioning brackets in the last year or so, okay?
Okay.
This is a follow-up to our first air conditioning bracket video. We did those brackets. There were a couple things that I ended up not liking about them. The stretch fit belt primarily, okay?
Yeah.
We did that red truck, and if you were doing about 2,000 up RPM and the air conditioning kicked on, there would be a weird vibration. So I figured, well, that's got to be the belt slipping. I had taken it on and off about 500 times, and they're only good for like one time. If you're only supposed to stretch them over the pulleys one time and leave them alone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to send that truck away and have them ever have a problem with it or whatever. So I said, okay, let's just ditch all the LT motor stuff, okay, which would be a stretch fit belt, and let's go back to the LS stuff, which seems to work flawlessly.
Yes.
So we decided to go back to just using a tensioner, okay? They've even redesigned them now. There's a improved one, but they worked great before, and they took care of all those little problems. And a stretch fit belt is not as easy to put on, and if I could make a bracket that just used one of those, great.
Perfect.
Then we have nothing to worry about, okay?
Yep.
So that's what we set out to do. And we nailed it. We probably did 3 different designs. This is our 3rd design, and we're going to show you what we came up with. We're going to build one, and I'll explain all the little things about it that makes it happen, okay?
Yep.
All right, so let's get to it, all right?
Okay.
All right, so what we have, we've got a 5.3 sitting here on the stand, okay? This is a Reed's motor is what we call it. The guy who brought us this engine, he brought us a whole truck, but we took this engine out of his pickup and put a different one in it. His name was Reed, and this engine needs to be torn apart, and then we'll put it all back together, and it'll be all clean and everything. So don't freak out because we're grinding and everything around it. And welding, people have been freaking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We get a lot of comments on that poor motor. It's like, no, it was taken out for a reason.
But it's just our motor that we use to make sure everything fits, okay? Standing behind Emily here, we have a 1986, right?
5 or 6, I don't know.
85, 86? Was it?
Red.
Yeah, it's red, okay? And it's not the truck that we had in here months and months ago. But it's in here for a bunch of repairs. Somebody else did the LS swap on it, did a terrible job on it, and we're here to fix all those problems. One of those things that he did, but they didn't start off with the engine and the transmission sitting in the proper spot. So we moved it back, but in order to move it back, we have to put the air conditioning compressor back behind the frame where they notched it out previously, and I'm not going to notch the frame out. So we forced him to buy one of our brackets from us, and it sits in there perfectly. We'll show you. I do have the engine sitting in its forever home right now, and it does have its air conditioning bracket on it, and we'll show you that here in a little bit, how this ends up fitting. And that is the reason why we like to do them, because we don't want to see anybody slicing those brackets. And if you're working on something else that isn't a Chevy pickup, because a lot of people put LS motors in a lot of different things, 1961 Pontiacs and weird cars, Caprices, Jeeps.
Yeah.
Yep. So we hear about that all the time. So we just wanted to make a bracket that would fit as tight to this engine block as possible and perform perfectly. So that's what we're going to build today, and I'm not going to talk about this engine anymore. or respond to any people freaking out about it.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's okay. It's already dead.
Yes. Yeah, we steal stuff out of it when we need parts.
Mm-hmm.
It did drive here though.
Yeah.
It drove here from
Arkansas.
Arkansas, yeah. Okay. So in our first video, and we're going to refer back to the first video a bunch, so you'll have to go and watch that a few times.
Yeah.
Watch all the commercials.
Very important.
Make sure you watch those. But in the first video, it explained how we came about to be at the point that we were at with getting the compressor to sit in the spot that we wanted it to sit in, okay?
Yeah, getting everything lined up.
Yeah, and when we did that, we ended up, I made a jig that holds the compressor in there.
Yes.
Okay, and we'll bolt that up here in just a second, and I'll show you how that works. Okay, and just by having it slip into the back of the compressor, and then one bolt through it, it holds that compressor exactly where we want it, which is in a straight center line with the crankshaft, and then it's, you know, parallel to the crankshaft pulley, okay?
Yes.
But that's what we did in the first video, and doing it with straight edges, and that's how we came about that.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
So we're not dealing with that today. We're just going to show you how we ended up with our bracket that we have as our final product now.
Yep.
Okay. And everybody that bought one of the other ones from us, I'm building them slowly, and I'm sending them all a brand new bracket. And then people ask us all the time, will we just sell you one of these? If I get some spare time on the weekends and nights, if I could get Emily to come out here and help me a little bit, we'll make some extra brackets and hopefully get some sold to people. But
yeah,
this is just our way to maybe hopefully have somebody else out there building a bracket and then get it right the first time, okay?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we want to see, you know, somebody else give it a shot. And
yeah. And if you build one better than we do, we'd love to see that too.
Yes.
That'd be nice.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so this is the original bracket that holds that compressor on there. And in order to figure out where we need our tensioner to be, I want to know where it was to begin with. So I used the original bracket to figure out where it was, okay? And so it bolted into that. I'm going to use power tools on this one to try to speed it up. Okay. So I'm like, man, how do I get that thing to sit where I need it to sit, all right? And so what I did was, there's a little bolt that sticks out on the back side of that pulley. All right?
Okay.
So I took a piece of steel, I measured that bolt hole, and I just drilled a piece of, what is it, 1/8 inch?
Probably.
And made it so it fits that pulley. Okay? Now it lines up perfectly straight with the other pulley, of course, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I just hold it where it's at, and it's adjustable. I love this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this C-clamp is adjustable.
Huh.
It's my favorite.
Neat.
It's like if they made vice grips and wrote adjustable on them. All right. So now that bolt hole is going to hold that thing, and I know where that pulley was with the tension completely off the pulley.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So that's it for that bracket. We don't need it anymore. I'm also going to pay attention to the center line of it. Okay. So where the pulley used to be, or where the center line of the pump used to be, okay? Just so I know, all right?
Okay.
So I can get rid of this now. I don't need this big clunky aluminum bracket anymore,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. Ooh, hang on to that ball. I'll make like a bracelet or something.
If you made a bracelet out of everything that we pulled out that you say you're going to make bracelets out of.
You haven't seen my bracelet collection.
Okay, so 3/8 steel, okay? My other ones were quarter. I wanted to get rid of having to mess around with the rear ear on these. This one's cut off already.
Yeah.
Okay, but the way I do it now, I don't even have to worry about it. I slice that off, forget it. Didn't work very well anyway, so my 3/8 piece here, we figured out the bolt holes in the center line in our first video, okay?
Yeah.
So I just took a template. When we first did that one, I made a template of it, and then I just transferred those bolt holes to this one and that. So you have to refer back to that one if you want to figure that out. But the way I do it now, we don't really care if that thing's straight or not, because we made the jig to hold the compressor exactly where we want it.
Yeah. So then, as long as that compressor is straight,
yep,
that's where it's gonna be.
That's right. So this is the jig that we made. Have I talked about that yet?
I don't know.
And I've redesigned it a few times. You can see where I've added some depth to it here and there.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's gone through a few design changes.
A little R&D.
Yeah, but it's a good one now.
Oh, it's a good little jig.
It's a good one. So I just bolted down. I made my jig, so that just fits into that hole there. All right.
Okay.
And then comes up underneath. I take the original bolts that would have held this compressor in.
Okay.
Make sense? All right. So in our original video, I made those, but I made them out of 3/4 round stock.
Yep.
Okay. So I don't use round stock anymore. You could, it doesn't matter. But this is a lot easier to hold in my vise and a lot easier to hold in the drill that I set up to get the center line. And it's much easier to get the center line on a piece of square than it is on a hole or on a round bar.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I cut these. These are all going to be 1.25 inches long. And I drill them with 11/32 drill. And then I tap them with a 10 by 1.5 millimeter tap.
That's a lot of numbers.
Yeah, and we'll put all those in the link, or Emily will. Yeah. I won't, because I'll be sleeping. She does that really early in the morning.
That's what I do at 2 a.m.
Yeah. Okay, so the square bar also, it was a lot easier for me to line them up. It's probably not as cute, but...
Oh, I don't know. Who says squares aren't cute?
Good. So I use that piece that it's going to be a part of the bracket. I use it to hold it to this, and the compressor sitting there, that's exactly where the compressor is going to end up being, okay?
Okay.
And then this bar is still there. It's not being interfered with anything. So I'll be able to take the adjuster, right?
Tensioner?
Yes, the tensioner. And I'll be able to set that there, okay?
Okay.
And then weld it into its spot. Comprende?
Comprende.
That's Spanish.
Ooh.
So, I went ahead and I made 2 more of these.
Oh.
Okay? And they're gonna go here.
Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and bolt those in. I almost think the square bar looks a lot better.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. Doesn't have to be perfect, but by being the square bar like that, you can line it up, you know. It's easy to line up with your compressor there. Okay. So now what I gotta do is I gotta make some arms that go from here to there. So how are we gonna do that?
I don't know, I thought you knew.
So some 3/8 by 1 inch. I went with 1 inch so it'd be a little easier to weld, you know. So I'm gonna go like that. I already ground a chamfer on the edge of it so I can get a good weld.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay, good penetration on it. And it's gonna go to the bracket like that. So I just need to hold it up and I can cut it to length there. Okay, we'll call that number 1. Okay.
Okay.
And I happen to, just by chance, grind that one also on the other end. So let's go ahead and mark it. Okay.
Okay.
So that one's 2. Okay. So safety glasses always, right?
Yes. Safety good.
Yep. All right. All right, so now it's time to do some welding.
Yay.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just do these 2, and then I'll let these cool down while I'm making the other one, okay?
Okay.
Because that's the other problem, is a lot of this stuff, the way it's held, you have got to weld it and let it cool off, and you can't like take it apart and, you know,
Yeah.
everything's got to be held in place, all right?
Okay.
So let's weld this and that piece. We'll do it with a welder.
Oh, okay. You don't want to rub 2 sticks together?
No. Going to need glasses
Oh, okay.
and a welding hood.
Yeah.
All right?
For safety.
All right. So I already cleaned my metal up, because if you want a good weld, you want to be working with good metal. So like I said, I already put ground a little bit of a chamfer on that edge so I can get a good bead there.
Okay.
I'm just going to hold it where I want it while I tack it. Okay. So I tacked it, and it is like pulling on it. Okay. So I'm going to pull it back where I want it. Okay. Go ahead and tack it in here. I'm going to tack my arms. Oh, leg number 2. Now this one, I'm going to center it. The other one over there, I put it as far back as possible so it doesn't interfere with the tensioner, okay? So I made it flush with the arms, but on this one I'm not going to.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go in here on the top of this one, and I'm gonna try to get a nice weld on that. Okay.
Okay.
Look
Sweet.
fine.
Yeah, that's nice.
Now I gotta try to do the same thing here. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna weld my pedestals up, all right?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So remember, it's not how good of a welder you are, how good of a grinder you are.
Exactly.
I'm a pretty good grinder. All right. So we got to make this other arm, the one that's going right here. Okay.
Ooh, yeah.
All right. So we got to do some grinding.
Okay.
All right, so this one's going to go at a different angle. So hold it there, mark it. That piece is hot. Oh. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing then with this piece. I'm just going to hold it where I want it and tack it. I'm going to go ahead and tack it, or I'm going to go ahead and weld it on the back side here. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to go in, I'm going to try to weld on the inside, that spot, alright?
Okay. Oh no.
Alright, so I've reached everything I can with the welder. So we're going to do a time lapse and we're going to let it cool off. Sitting bolted up the way it is right now, okay?
Yes.
And I'll speed it up just a little bit with some pressurized air.
Ripley, you totally missed your line.
Alright, so this thing, we let it cool down, okay? Now I can take it all apart. We'll bolt it back together basically without it being on the engine block. Then I'll weld up the spots that I can't get to. So, but you want to let it cool off so it doesn't move on you.
Yes.
Alright.
Let it cool off in its spot.
Yep. Good. So that's that. Leave that there. We'll need that. Alright, so we'll bolt it back to our compressor now, so that way the compressor will keep everything straight for us while we weld up the backside.
This compressor also will not be used again.
No.
For anybody worried about that.
Yes, we get that comment also, people telling us that we need to plug the inlet and outlet. And this compressor is junk. We know.
Bounced off the floor a few times.
It's locked up. That's why we decided to use this one. Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, so it's bolted back together. So now I'm going to come and I'm going to weld the things that I couldn't reach before, alright?
Okay.
I've done more.
Sweet.
Okay, so again, we're gonna let this cool down now, okay?
Okay.
And then I gotta come back in here and get on the inside of the little pedestals. All right. So let's let it cool down again. And we'll be back. Alright, it's cooled off enough that I can touch it. So we're going to go ahead and bolt it back up to the engine, and then we're going to work on putting our tensioner where it needs to go. Okay?
Okay.
Compressor still has oil in it.
Oh no.
How could that be? Okay. I'll go ahead and weld them up now, okay? Since we're going to bolt it together, because I got to weld it there, and on these back sides. So I'll weld them up, then I'll put the compressor on it, bolt it down, and it can just cool naturally that way. All right. Okay, I'll put that on there, even though it doesn't really need it right now, but I just want to make sure everything is lined up. Alright, so that'll cool off. While we're doing that, we will get our temperature in its spot. Alright?
Okay.
So we initially put that there to show us where it has to go. And alright, so on the original bracket, this was like parallel with the engine block, okay?
Oh yes.
I'm not able to do that on this one because we rotated the compressor to make the lines come out where they do.
Oh yes.
So I'm gonna make it as parallel as I can. So I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna cut my end off here because that's taking a little bit of my space.
Okay.
Okay. On my second design, I cut that short and I used a bolt, but then that bolt had to be shorter, so I didn't like that.
Yeah, because this way you use your original bolts.
Yeah, kind of. It's just a bolt-in thing and no fuss, you know.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna get my cutter and I'm gonna come and I'm gonna try and cut as much of that off as possible without getting into the bolt.
Yes.
Okay. Look good?
Wow. What a cool dude.
Okay. All right, so it's not able to go perfectly parallel like it was, but remember the compressor is closer to the crankshaft pulley too, so I'm just getting it as close as I can, all right, to be in parallel. I'm wanting to get this as flat as possible, but I can't get it all the way, so I do as much as I can to get it sitting there, and that's about as much as I can take off of it and still be okay with it, all right?
Okay.
So this is a piece of 1/4 inch, 1.5. I made it the length of my pulley. Drilled 3 holes for it because this thing's got a little nub on the back side that sticks through there. So I'm going to take and bolt this to the tensioner, and then I'm going to cut this out of it so it fits along there better. So I want to make the same shape as this thing. So I'm going to come in here and cut that out of it. And I'm not going to cut all the way in there because it ends up being welded to that bracket. So yeah. Alright, so this will take a few tries, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, I almost nailed it. First try.
Pretty close.
See what I'm trying to do?
Yeah, try to match that angle there.
Right. So I need to take a little bit of that peak off, and it looks like it'll be just fine. Alright. Okay. Alright, so I gotta get this thing to hold itself on. Okay. So I'm going to weld it kind of slow because it is going to want to move a bunch, alright?
Okay.
So alright, so I can't get in there to get to it because of that, so I'm going to have to unbolt it, get rid of it, and then I'm going to try and weld it up. We'll see if I can weld it without it moving too much. Worst case, we'll have to heat it up and bend it back if it does distort a bunch.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this because we have everything in place, right? Don't need it anymore. Alright, so I'm gonna do the best I can to weld it up without it distorting a bunch.
Okay.
I already got one on that corner over there, so I'm gonna hit it up here good. Come in on the opposite side. Alright, so some of my weld is stopping this from sitting where it needs to.
Oh.
So I gotta go and grind a little bit out of it. Alright, so in my welding, it moved in a little bit, okay, towards the motor. So I need to adjust it a little.
Oh yeah, just get your adjuster.
Right, and I can tell by how it lines up on the edge of the pulley there, okay? Can you see that?
Eyeball the line there.
Yeah. Okay, so it needs a little more. First one I did, I had to heat it up. It was so bad. This one's pretty good, right? If I was a better welder, it wouldn't be a problem. But you're given what you're given.
If you were a better welder, maybe you wouldn't be as good of a grinder. Do you ever think about that?
Yeah, my grinding skills would lack.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Sweet.
So, I'm going to go ahead and just bolt that on there. Then ahead. All right, so we got one more bracket to do. So now we're going to make a bracket that goes from here and it runs down and it attaches to that one, okay, to give it some extra support. The bracket's attached at 3 spots then, and everything should be great.
Sweet.
I'm going to do that out of 1/4 inch. Doesn't need to be 3/8 for that. I already drilled the holes in it. I didn't think you'd want to watch me drilling holes anymore.
Oh, are we going to do this whole video and not show any holes being drilled?
Hopefully. Okay. All right, so this will require the torch. And we're also going to have to cut it to length because I can't push it down past the harmonic balancer. So I'm going to measure it a little bit, come out here, cut it to length. We'll heat it up, and then we'll start bending it down to that.
Okay.
This is where tape measure comes in. So 5 inches it's roughly 4 inches down to that. So if I go 5 inches, that'll be safe. Okay, so 5 inches out, right to that line. All right, so we got one more bracket to do, and then we'll call this baby done after we weld her up, all right? Mm-hmm. And you paint it and everything and make it look nice. Yeah. Okay, so I like to just use a torch for this. I think everybody should own a torch.
Yeah.
Fire.
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 Adjust my basically. Probably I could have left it a little longer than what I did.
There you go.
Wow, it's pre-warmed up. Can I get in there further, you think? Alright, so let's take the compressor off. We'll weld that up real quick. And we'll bolt it back on and let it cool. Alright, so I bolted all back up and we'll let it cool off the way it is, and so nothing moves, right? So the bracket is done, okay? Except for taking the sharp edges off, cleaning it up, making it look nice, painting it, okay?
Yeah.
So these are the mounts we use. Just want to show you that while we got it here. I don't know, did we do that on the other one?
I think so.
Good. All right. So I'll just temporarily, I'll put 2 bolts in it. Okay. It's held on by 4, but we'll do 2.
Okay.
Okay. Good. And I made that, you know, to clear it. I cut that piece of that off there because we don't use that portion of it. We're going to use that hole for a motor mount. And if you're using the clamshell mounts, which I love, you would end up having to go and trim a spot out for it. Okay, so it'll fit right there.
Yeah.
And you can see how close it goes to the compressor. Okay. All right, so then I make sure that my bolt isn't hitting the compressor. All right, so it doesn't, but I'll still take a little bit of that off because it is pretty close. Okay,
Yeah.
and I'll take and weld that nut to that mount so I don't have to get to it from the backside because it's hard to get to when you've got the compressor mounted there.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So that's how that goes. That's why I go with that bolt hole back. It gives me just enough room for it. Okay. First design, second design. Okay. Tensioner. Small. This has a smaller pulley, and this one has more adjustment in it, and it also has a bearing in it that's supposed to be better.
Oh, sweet.
Okay. So with this setup that we did here, this is the second design, which I personally like. So let's bolt this thing up. This is the original size belt, okay,
Okay.
off of a 2005 Chevy pickup,
Okay.
which is what this engine would come out of. It's an LM7, right?
I believe so.
But it doesn't matter. The 6 liters, 5.3s, 4.8s, they're all the same. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So that's with the original number belt, okay? And it has a little bit of adjustment there.
Okay.
So I would probably go get the next size up belt. It'll go on easier and it'll work just fine. There's a ton of adjustments still there.
Yeah, I'll put part numbers in the description and
Yep.
give you some options.
Right. And if you were going to use this one, you absolutely would have to use
The bigger.
one size bigger.
Yeah.
Okay. And the compressor is closer to the crankshaft now, but the tensioner is in a different spot, so that's where it's taking up that play that that belt had.
Yep.
All right, so why do we go through that much hassle to do a bracket? All right. This truck, like I said, we did not do this LS swap, but it's here to have us fix it. We're putting on new motor mounts. We slid this engine back almost 3 inches from where the person who did it had it sitting.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can see it or not, but the frame was notched where the air conditioning lines were, okay?
Yeah.
So those lines were initially, they were right here. And I wasn't going to notch the frame and slide the engine back. So we put one of those AC brackets on that we just made, and that's where it sits now, okay?
Yeah.
We don't have the motor mount on yet, but that is where it's going to sit, okay? And that's why we do it.
Yep.
And people also ask us, why don't we just mount them up here? Why don't we mount them like a small block Chevy? You run out of a room on these things, and that's a nice place to hide it, and we think it looks great, okay?
Yep.
So I hope to see a lot of that in the future.
Yes.
But no frames cut.
No frames cut.
Yeah, because these don't have the strongest frames in the world in the first place. So when you go and cut on them, it does not help. So
Yeah, and that right there where you would notch it is not a good space to have a notch. So
nope. Okay. So
Okay.
there you have it.
There you go. Okay, so another bracket is done. Like we said, I hope you go back and check out the first video we did on these. A little more detail on the setup and the layout of it. I will put links in the description for everything we talked about today. I will also put a link to our Facebook page. If you're not following us over there, you're missing out on some cool stuff. So I hope you go check that out. As always, we appreciate you guys watching, and we will catch you next time. Come on.
Oh, super fast car. Wow. Wow.
Real fast car. I got a ticket to get out of here. Maybe here, maybe 5.
Oh my goodness.
That was terrible. Very mean.
Oh my god.
What? What you want?
Like it.